Hey, it's Freak in the Piledriver studios. Not one, but two Daves. Dave Mustaine and Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. Thanks for coming to Piledriver studios, fellas.
You're welcome.
So let's start with Behind the Music. That's currently on VH1. I always wanted to ask a band this because I've never asked a band that's been on Behind the Music because it's always been Kansas or Styx or some band I just don't want to hear. Is it weird kind of telling the public about all these intimate, I guess, things about yourself and seeing it on TV and now everybody knows?
No, I think we've always been really open and honest with our fans. They know if they, catch us someplace and they ask us a question, we're going to give them an answer because we're capable of living this lifestyle by the relationship we have with them. They make it possible for us, so I think they deserve that. I mean, there's certain things that we won't tell them, but I think that's just drawing the line between what's private and what's public.
I think the cool thing about doing the Behind the Music was we did the interview footage and somebody else put the storyline together. And I think they did an excellent job at it, especially incorporating all the other people that are part of our past and putting it together to tell a story. The only downside is there was so much to tell that there's a lot that they had to skip over in order to actually really tell the whole tale of Megadeth.
I thought one of the funniest things was when your mom, and you came up with the name Megadeth, your mom's reaction to the name of Megadeth.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the Midwest, and I think my mother paints a pretty good picture of the nice, wholesome Midwest mom, And then we come storming in with all things Megadeth, and I don't know, it told the story really well.
I like that line too.
Yeah, buzz.
Okay, here we go.
Who came up with the idea of doing Behind the Music? Did they approach you guys, or?
I don't know, but I think that whoever did it was probably, it's been long overdue, but I know that VH1's timing is critical, and they need to make certain that it's the right thing to do because it's a big institution. And Behind the Music is such a great thing for bands. It's such an unbelievable leveraging tool for your popularity. It would have been probably a little premature to do it with the last two records because we didn't really have quality follow-up to the Behind the Music. Now with this new record coming out, as strongly as we and the record company and the majority of the public feel about this record, it's perfect.
Whose ass would you want to kick? Publicly.
A lot of bands I dislike strongly. I'm thinking there's 100 names flying by right now, and there'd have to be, it'd be like one of those Rockettes things where all their asses are lined up at once, and I could just kick one, and they'd end up kicking everyone else's ass like a domino.
David, you want to give us any? Or?
I was doing the same thing Dave was doing. I was thinking through all of the bands that we've just recently played with, or I see in magazines and stuff like that, and there have been some bands over the years that have said some spiteful things about Megadeth, but a lot of them we've outlived, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a saying that success is the best revenge.
In the Ring with Freak.
So let's talk about the first single. What's it about?
Motorcycle is about a person who's kind of in a rut and kind of going through the motions, and he gets in his car and he just tunes out. There's a lot of people out there that drive and you kind of wonder what the hell they're doing, and you go up there and you see some of them are putting on lipsticks and others shaving and stuff like that, and usually it's like the men putting they're shaving and talking on the cell phones and stuff, and the girls are painting their faces and stuff, and it's like, hello. It's like if they would get up 5 minutes earlier and do that crap at home, there wouldn't be traffic jams. But that's what usually leads up to road rage. I've been in my car and someone has pulled some crap with me, and I figured, you know what? You're going to miss your turn off right now, buddy. David and I were cutting through the Crescent Heights road through the Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, and this woman pulls out. I'm driving Dave's van, right? And this thing was like, that SS Cole, the thing that got blown up in Yemen?
Yeah.
That thing probably navigated better than his van. We're driving through Crescent Heights. We pull up to a light, and this bitch pulls up next to me in a car to hole shot me. And I thought, oh, yeah? And I put on my best Clint Eastwood face, and I dropped it down a couple gears. Light turns green, and I went, whoa, with the van, and all of a sudden I hear this. She ran into a parked car trying to hole shot me. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
It's like, don't mess with me when I'm driving, baby. I'm a motorcycle.
So talking about the album, what about a tour? You guys have any plans for a summer tour?
Yeah, it's actually going to start in Europe because we didn't feel like we actually gave some of our international touring enough attention on the last album, so we're going to actually start over there. Then the first show is with AC/DC at the Milton Keynes Bowl in England, and which is really monumental for us, I think, because we were all big fans of AC/DC. And it's funny because we played with so many bands over the years that we played with most of them that we grew up listening to or had their records in our collection at one point. But AC/DC is one of those bands that we haven't. They're of icon status, definitely. So that's going to be a great way to kick it off. And then that just leads into a full European tour for about 6 weeks. And then we're going to go to Japan, Korea, Taiwan for the first time. And we're finally getting back down to Australia and New Zealand again. We haven't been there in almost 10 years, or about 10 years. So
When are you guys going to hit the States?
Going to be in the fall. We're looking at probably around September right now, but we want to really dedicate the summer to all the international tour.
How do you feel about being, this icon of a band that, younger bands come up and say, yeah, I listened to Megadeth when I was growing up. These are one of my, these guys are my influence. Does it make you feel like, wow, what happened? Where did the last 15 years just go?
Probably the best thing about that is when people come up, like one guitar player from Matchbox 20 of all bands actually came into the elevator one day in a hotel in Cleveland and was just like ranting and raving. And I've heard that the guy from Days of the New is a Megadeth fan. So to me,
so's the guitar player from Limp Bizkit.
From Limp Bizkit, yeah. So it's cool when people are fans of ours and influenced by us, but don't directly just rip off what we do and try to just sound like a baby Megadeth. I mean, I think
the guy in
that's cool.
Creed too's got a song that sounds like something could have been one of ours.
Yeah, Mark Tremonti is definitely a huge metal fan and definitely a fan of Megadeth.
All right, so let's talk a little wrestling. Since you guys, wrote the theme, that Goldberg used for a while. What do you feel about WWF buying WCW?
I think it's a great consolidation of two phenomenal marketing ideas, and it's probably put a nice chunk of change into somebody's pocket.
So if Vince approached you and said, I want you to write another theme song, would you do it?
For what?
For one of the wrestlers.
It depends. It depends on who it is and what it's going to be like. Because if it was somebody that, I thought was punk, I wouldn't waste my time or my credibility. We did it with Goldberg because he was the best. He was the best at the time with WCW. He was an icon. There was a lot of things that went around it. The stigmatism of him being one of the top Jewish athletes ever. I'm not Jewish, so I really didn't care about that. But just the fact that he was such a phenomenon. He was like a plain Joe kind of guy and built like a brick house and just, everything that went along with it, it's just right. We've tried to always make all the right decisions, and granted, we've made a lot of wrong ones. You have to. You got to lose in order to appreciate winning. But doing the thing with Vince for just a no-name wrestler, nah.
So how do you, it's almost funny because Goldberg used your song years ago, and now all of a sudden it's starting to become the norm where rock bands are writing songs for wrestlers, like Limp Bizkit, Disturbed, Stereo Mud just went to the studio to do stuff, Saliva. You guys were almost, forerunners in doing that for Goldberg years ago, and now it's become kind of a rule of thumb for wrestlers. You got to have a wrestler comes out, and you have to have a theme song by a rock band.
I think it's, again, we did it first. Yeah. It's like there's so many things that we've done first. I don't expect anybody to, etch all that crap on my headstone, but it's nice to know that we've done it before anybody else.
Well, the new album is The World Needs a Hero. May 15th hits stores. Moto Psycho is the tune we're playing. Dave, thanks for coming on Piledriver.
Cool, man.
Cool.